Hello everybody and welcome back to Appalachian Bonsai. I hope that you can hear me because my lavalier mic has broken, so we're just using the camera's audio. We're returning today to discuss Vermisterra. Vermisterra is a sponsor of this little project, this little experiment that we're having right now, and I'm very grateful for that. If you may remember from the last soil mix video, we used multiple types of soil mixes with some donated trees. These are trident maples, with the exception of this one, which is a red maple. It's just what we had. And looking at the various soil mixes, we have been looking at Vermisterra's products. Vermisterra is a company that specializes in worm castings and worm casting products. If you may remember from that video, you can always watch that. That video link is going to be up here in this card. And if you've been following me on Instagram, which you should, then you will have seen maybe a couple of updates. As you've noticed, I've got lots of greenery going on with all of these, and we're going to look at each one of these in depth. But once again, I want to thank Vermisterra for sponsoring this particular project. Now, what we've been looking at with this part of the experiment is that these two products right here, we have our earthworm casting tea, which has an NPK of 0.1, 0, and 0.1, as well as this Vitality. You can tell that this Vitality has been used quite a bit. It's really good stuff. It's been micronized, nutrient-based, worm casting type of tea. It takes the best of what's in here and just concentrates it. So we've been using that in our product, but only one part of this. So on the your left side, my right side, we have all of these different types of soil mixtures, but they've been used with my standard fertilizing regimen, which is Miracle-Gro, which is not a sponsor of this project. On your right side, my left side, is just been using these particular Vitality products. And you can see that regardless of which one that I'm using, they're both looking very good. I want to combine them together to show you the individual parts, and we'll see how they're balancing out with each other. We're going to look at the height of these. We're also going to look at the foliage, maybe a little bit of a compaction of the soils, etc. And continue this understanding of what worm castings can do for your bonsai soil mixtures. So this is 1A and 1B. The standard soil mix. There were no issues with the drainage. They drain just like they normally do. With all of the plants that are in this collection, this experiment, they've all been grown in the same place that I grow my normal bonsai, which is for broadleaf species like these, it's under a sun canopy and gets plenty of sun throughout the day, plenty of watering throughout the day. We've had rain lately, so these have been draining really well. No issues here, as I've not had many issues with my bonsai soil mix. So this is 2A, 2B, and this was my standard soil mix along with some worm castings in a bag, a tea bag. This particular tea bag was made of cotton. It's a natural product. You can tell that it's been breaking down and that chipmunks have gotten into it and chewed it just a little bit. I've been able to prevent that as soon as I noticed it. It's kind of cool to know that the earthworm castings help break down the organic elements of your bonsai soil, including the organic natural component of the bags. These are kind of tearing apart a little bit. You can see just right there, I'm tearing it apart. But this is preventing the castings from going completely into the bag and just allowing the nutrients to go through. Again, with the 1A and 1B, there was no issue with the drainage. These did not prevent any problems with drainage. Here we have 3A and 3B. This was my standard soil mix along with 1 cup of the worm castings. No problems with drainage for either one of these. Got a little sun peeking out. 4A and 4B we took the worm castings and dressed them right on top of my standard soil mix. You can't even tell that that's happened because they've worked their way into the soil. At the very initial video, we could tell that there was a little bit of a drainage issue of those worm castings going through. But now that they've incorporated themselves into the soil, there hasn't been an issue. These drain just as well as all the other ones. This is 5A, this is 5B. This was the standard soil mix along with 2 portions of the worm castings. A little bit of the slow draining, but since it's incorporated into the soil, there hasn't been any issues with the draining. The soil's been working out very well. So this is 6A and 6B. Of all of the mixtures, this was the one that was the most problematic. If you may recall, I did not add any of my pine bark. I just used a straight portion of the worm castings in here as the only organic material in the mixture. It did not drain very well. It was quite solidified, quite compact, and it took a long time for these particular seedlings to leaf out and start to grow. They were diminutive from the start, and they haven't increased in height very much. I attribute that to the lack of poor drainage in both of these soils. So if it's my choice, I would prefer to have more of the organic, the coarse organic material like pine bark within my soil mix to help alleviate the compaction of this, and not use only worm castings as my organic media base in this particular type of growing. So we have 1A and 1B. These are the red maples, so they're not as prolifically growing as the trident maple. The standard soil mix is what we have here. Both are doing very well, very healthy. This one has a few more leaves than its counterpart here. At the very beginning, this one was more diminutive than this one. It still is, and we'll be able to look at that at the branch structure a little bit more closely in the fall time after the leaves have already dropped. I think that despite whatever bugs got on here, that's not an issue with our soil mixture, that's just an issue with bugs. I think that these look very healthy, both of them. With 2A and 2B, we do have plenty of good growth with both of these. This has the worm casting bag sitting directly on top of my standard soil mixtures. What I have noticed a little bit with that is a little bit of the browning of the leaves, which you might see with this particular here. Browning at the tips is often a sign of too much water. I don't know if that would be a problem with the soil because it's my standard soil mix and the other did not have it. But it's good to at least take a peek and try to understand what's happening here. We'll see those root systems a little bit more in the future, and that might give us an indication of what else might be going on under there. But we also have a little bit of spotting, which may be a result of disease or bugs or both. The spotting may be anthracnose, which was not present on the red maples, except maybe on one little spot. But it's good to at least see what this is and then make a judgment on the rest of them. See, there's another one there. Regardless, we have a little bit more height over here on 2B as opposed to 2A. There was an extra branch here that's growing very strongly as well. A little bit of bug, again, that's not the problem of the soil mixture, that's more a problem of just paying attention to your trees. So these are 3A, 3B, nice and tall. The one on the left-hand side, you can't even see the top of it on the camera. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit so that you can see it. Yeah, it's still popping off of it. It is at least, we're looking at, it's 15.5 inches, which will be converted into metric here in just a little bit. The leaves of this look really good. There's a little browning of tip here and there, but for the most part, this has just beautiful, perfect trident maple leaves. The one on the right-hand side, Has a little bit of browning on the tips right in this region, right here. Even a little bit curling up at the ends right there. This has worm castings, 1 scoop in the mix, but there's still some good growth that's happening at the top of this. We're looking at probably about 2 inches, maybe 50 millimeters from the top there. A lot of good growth on the left-hand side. "4A, 4B, looking good. The height difference is quite noticeable. This one right here is just about to peek off the edge of the camera. Right there. Dropping off at about 14 inches or so. Still have some a little bit of leaf browning at the tips. It's the sign of the soil mixtures. This also has a little bit of a spotting, a yellow spotting. That might be a viral disease that's going on here, but it's only noticeable on this right-hand side one. I'm not seeing it so much on the left hand. That one has a little bit of it. Yes, this one also has a little bit of it too. Good to pay attention to. 5A and 5B, really strong growth on both of these particular specimens. So let me zoom out a little bit more so we can get a height on here. Yeah, quite a bit of growth on these. Looking very nice. They look very healthy. There's actually not a lot of spotting or leaf burn or too much overwatering of these. I got a little bit on the tip here. Not so much on either one. That's pretty fantastic. This is the one that has 2 extra scoops of earthworm castings in the soil mix. So 6A, 6B, very diminutive. As I mentioned, they didn't grow very strongly, especially on the onset of spring, but they did kick in a little bit, and we've got some foliage. I would notice that in a dry period, where normally there would be enough moisture holding on, these would end up drying out really hard, and it was hard to resaturate them. The leaves look good. They're still nice and clear. Not a sign of overwatering. It's probably because they may not have gotten enough water with the drainage. This one on the right-hand side does have a little bit of yellow spotting on the inside. Again, maybe viral. This particular one might be, I'll give a close-up of that in just a second. It's really noticeable. There's also some dead leaves on the inside of this where something may have dropped off. We've lost the tip, although it's starting to grow back right there. Just the tip. And this one on the left-hand side is still looking verdant and green. So I hope that this experiment is showing you the progress of these products alongside what I would normally use. I hope that's giving you some more information about what you can do with your particular bonsai soil. And it might even inspire you to use these products not just in your bonsai soils, but also in your gardens and other types of potted plants. I do still want to thank Vermisterra very much for allowing me to use these products and sending them to me. I'm very, very grateful for them. This experiment is not yet over. We're going to wait until the fall time comes. All this foliage is going to drop, and that will allow us to measure better the heights of these things, the final growth habits. And we can compare those to the earlier video in the springtime. In the coming spring, all right, so 2022, I will take all of these trees out of the pots, and we're going to look at the root systems of these. That's going to tell us a lot about what's happening underneath the soil level. And I hope that you stick around for that. So make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you check out Appalachian Bonsai at Instagram. And I hope to see you at another date and time. So thank you very much, because there's more to come.